Okay, hello everyone and welcome to the Payara Team live Q&A session. So we've just experienced some technical difficulties which discontinued our previous broadcast. We've only been at the first question. So we're starting off again just in case anyone wants to join us again, and so that we will have a complete recording as well. Our previous broadcast, we've only been at the first question. So we're starting off again. Sorry about that. Okay, I think we're ready now. So enough technical difficulties for today, I hope. So my name is Tomitribe and I am here with some of our members of the development and engineering team at Payara. So we've been collecting questions from the Payara community and Payara users for the last couple of days, and we are ready to answer those questions for you today. However, if you have some more questions for us, I hope that some of the people will come back and join us again into that broadcast. So if you do have any more questions, please feel free to use the chat option in your Google Hangouts window. Or if you're watching the live broadcast on YouTube, then head off to Twitter and send us your questions using the GlassFish hashtag. Right, so let's introduce the team again, or for the first time users, and then we move on to the questions.
Hi there, I'm Payara Team. I'm from Colombia, and I've been working from May of this year the Payara support team. I've mainly been a JavaOne developer for my whole career, and all these last years I've been working with GlassFish and Payara Server as well. So it is a good opportunity to be here, putting all that knowledge into something that is very useful for the community and many companies.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Ondrej. I'm a service engineer, and I've been working with the guys for several months already. I'm based in Prague, Czech Republic. And I really enjoyed the work. And my background is a JavaOne developer, but I also used to teach JavaOne technology other teams. And now I enjoy writing about this stuff and about Payara, about JavaOne, and evangelizing all the stuff.
Hi, my name is Mike. So I've been with Payara pretty much from the start. I'm involved with all of the customer-facing work that we do, which involves consulting work, support work, community-focused efforts like marketing, blogs, and videos like these. And yeah, that's basically my background as well. My background is as a Java middleware consultant.
Hi, I'm Ondrej. I'm on the development team. So I work in the development side. My background is I was trained by C2B2, essentially the original company who created Payara as a support engineer, and then I made the transition over to the Payara development team when it essentially came into life, and I've been there ever since.
Okay, thank you. So as you can see, we've got a nice mixture of engineering and development teams, so hopefully we should give you some comprehensive answers to your questions. So let's kick off with the first question for Mike. So Payara recently announced the MicroProfile initiative together with the LJC, Red Hat, Tomitribe and IBM. Can you tell us a bit more about what it is and what are the plans for the future?
Yes, so for the benefit of people that have not heard about MicroProfile, or maybe have forgotten about it in the past couple of weeks. It's not been that long since we announced it in San Francisco. The idea, or the driving force behind the MicroProfile, was to bring a modern way of doing Java EE development, specifically targeted for microservice or cloud-style deployments. So with Java EE 6, there was the introduction of the web profile, which was a smaller subset of APIs which can be used instead of the full profile. So if you didn't need all of the APIs that were available in Java EE, you didn't have to. MicroProfile is even smaller than that. So for version 1, which is targeted to be released in September, we're going to be based on CDI, JAX-RS, and JSON-P. But that's just version 1. So version 2 will start being discussed immediately afterwards, hopefully in October. But there are discussions going on already in the Google group, which you are free to join. You can check that out via the microprofile.io website. All of the discussions in the group are completely open. Everyone is welcome to contribute and to ask questions or make suggestions, however technical or non-technical you think you are. All of your opinions are valid and welcome. So yeah, at the moment there are still quite a few things to figure out. It's still quite a new initiative, but it's very community focused, and the idea is that we'll iterate very quickly. So we don't want to be bogged down in trying to see the end goal and get there before we do a release. We're going to iterate and evolve very gradually with very, very quick release cycle.
Okay, thank you, Mike. So if you want to find out more, as Mike mentioned, and as we just showed you, have a look at the MicroProfile.io website, and you can join the discussion on Google Groups as well. Right, so the next question to Andrew. So Payara Server next release 1.6.3 is coming up pretty soon. It's next month. So can you tell us a bit more what's coming in the next release? I don't know how much you can reveal, but is there anything that we should be excited about?
Yeah, so the big headline feature is a tech preview of request tracing in a general notification service. So we say tech preview because we don't want people to immediately jump it into production systems yet, but we want to release it out because it's in a good state. So at the moment, that allows you to do request tracing. Well, when it's released, that will allow you to do request tracing for WebSockets, outbound REST and web service calls, and EJB invocations. And as I said before, there's a notification service coming with that as well. And that ties into that, but we do plan to extend that out into essentially a notification service for everything in Payara.
Do you think that will be extended for the last release of this year, or is that's the plan?
Yeah, it's going to be released with this one, but we're going to keep iterating on it, and we're not going to put it out and immediately drop it and come back to it later. We're going to keep working directly and immediately on it.
Okay, great. So as usual, we will of course make a full announcement closer to the date of the new Payara Server release, so look out for that. That's going to be around the first week of August, so quite soon. Right, so next question for Ondrej. So are there any chances to see HTTP2 in Payara Server before GlassFish 5 or Java 8 will be launched? And for example, JCache is already available.
Yeah, so HTTP2 is becoming very very popular these days. It's more efficient than fast HTTP2 protocol. But this feature has been on our list for a couple of months already, and currently it's on top of our bigger feature list. But unfortunately, I cannot say what is the time frame to incorporate it into Payara, because we have the dependency on the Grizzly project, which is provides HTTP stack in Payara. And there were efforts to incorporate HTTP2 in Grizzly project, but it's still not finished, not in a state that we could use in Payara. But certainly there are plans to look into it more deeper and to look at the options to provide HTTP2 support very soon.
Okay, thank you. So back to Andrew. Or no, back to Fabio now. Another question from the community. So how can we integrate load balancing with microclustering?
So this is actually a common scenario in microservices architectures today, because load balances is the principal pillar for web technologies to work and have high availability for your services. So you have multiple options. I say that the most prominent one is to use a strong proxy load balancers like HashiCorp HA proxy that has the capability of auto-updating itself depending on self-discovery services of your microservices in the network, depending on how they're configured, of course. So you would just simply launch multiple micro instances, take advantage of the Hazelcamp's integration with Payara Micro, and all of them will self-discover each other and mount a cluster. And from that, you can have an HA proxy and a console, for example, discovery service, having updated the load balancing table on the HA proxy with all the network interfaces and IP addresses from all these instances. instance. We're actually working now on a very complex and interesting scenario using Docker machine, Docker Swarm. When we want to actually raise a more complex production scenario that we want to have like an auto discovery, an auto scalable, let's say, swarm or multiple Payara Micro instances. We're working on it very intensively these days. So check out our blog. It's coming out soon, and we're going to detail all of this configuration for all of you.
Great. So obviously, if there's anything more specific that you would like to find out through the blog as well around that topic, just let us know. Send us a message or an email or comment on the blog once it's out. Right. So back to Mike. There's been a question popping up from the community quite often about what's the best way to upgrade to the newest Payara Server version. So we do have a blog post about it, but the questions are still rising. So maybe if you want to just summarize it a little bit for the community, and we can then point them into the right direction on our blog.
Yeah, absolutely. So I wrote a blog post about it, but I've actually also broken the blog post down and incorporated it into the next version of our documentation. So actually, I should say at this point that the documentation that we have at the moment, we release updates to it with every normal server release. So with the 1.6.3 release, when that comes out, there'll be a documentation update as well. So when it comes to upgrading, there's the way that you want to choose kind of depends really on your own personal preference, maybe the way that you like to set up your own servers. So I prefer to work in Linux, and that actually gives you some nice advantages. So the way that I like to update is to separate my domain and node directories, all of the kind of user configuration effectively, into completely separate directories. So the normal ASAdmin commands that you would use to start a domain also take extra options which allow you to specify the location of where your domain is, or where your domain directory is, and where your node directory is. So if I were to, for instance, have a directory /opt/Payara, within that I could have a 161 folder, a 162 folder, and a 163 folder. In there I could have all of my binaries from all of the different Payara versions. I could then install my domains into /etc Payara my domains, etc Payara my nodes, and in that way you can just refer to the separate domain or separate node, and Payara doesn't care what version of the binaries it's using to start these domains or nodes. You can just bring up with whatever version you want. The reason why I prefer that is because it means you effectively are having parallel upgrades. So if you bring up the 1.6.3 version and you find that actually we've updated to a later version of one of our included dependencies, and you need to update your application to take care of that, you might think, oh, there's a problem, I need to roll back. So you can just stop that server, change to the other directory, start that server. Again, you're pointing to the same directory, so you don't need to undeploy or redeploy anything, and then you're away. So there's very, very little effort needed in changing up a version or changing down a version. And there is no difficulty between changes in domain XML either. So you can use a Payara 1.4.4 release, our very first release, and start a Payara 1.6.2 domain with no issues.
Okay, great. So head off to the blog as well, which we've just shown you as well. That's where description is, and you can actually see the step-by-step guide by Mike. And again, if you've got any more questions, just post them under the blog in the comment section. So back to Ondrej. I know that you have some interesting community or customer stories that you can share with us.
Yeah. So I remember one story, or what I happened to come across on the internet, and even before I joined Payara Team, and there was a blog post by one guy from Czech Republic, where I come from too, and there was a blog post how he tried to access original GlassFish source code, because they were using GlassFish in their company, and after Oracle dropped support for GlassFish, they would try to access these source codes and fix some of the issues they were having. And then he found out about C2B2 activities, and that this already started to do this same thing. So he just contacted them, and he found out that they are going to even support GlassFish server back then. So he was happy that he doesn't have to do it by himself. And since then, his company and Payara are cooperating together, and they are sending us pull requests if they discover issues, and they are able to fix themselves. So it's pretty good collaboration with them.
Oh, that's great, and it's actually a good story as well how we met you yourself. I think we talked about it in the interview with you that is on YouTube now, but we actually met Ondrej through the conference because he won a conference ticket with us. So I think that's a nice story, maybe not a customer story, but just a community story. So, just get involved in anything we do, and you never know, you might end up with the Payara team.
It was like, I never had heard about Payara like a year ago, and then suddenly I heard it from several different sources, from Twitter, from other guys I knew, from Ondrej who liked GlassFish and was promoting Payara because he says it's the same thing but better. so suddenly, out of the sudden, I won a ticket to get into the conference, and I know that I get to know these guys, and then I got the job here.
Yeah, ended up here in the UK. Well, not daily, but at the moment. So yeah, just get involved, guys. It's worth it. You might win a ticket, or you might end up having a new job with a Payara team. You never know.
At least a shirt.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Another interesting story is just a short one. Is that I found out that the Czech Java user group is led by one of the Oracle employees who were originally working on GlassFish in Jersey. So when I met him, I was recently presenting about Payara at Czech Java user group. He was quite happy to hear what we are doing here, because it was like a continuation of his work.
Great. Have you guys got anything that you want to share?
I have a little community story because it was a potential customer, but they couldn't actually, or I don't think that they wanted to actually go with the commercial route, but they were having many issues with GlassFish 4. And it was like 5 months after Oracle dropped commercial support. They were having multiple issues, and I started tinkering with Payara way before I started working here. And this guy and I had a bet, and he told me, "I'm just thinking that I will switch to Wildfly or to, I think Tommy in that case." And they say, "Man, this is a new server called Payara. It's actually derived from GlassFish from what I said at that moment. This server is actually very solid, very robust. So try it. I think it will solve the issue." So he wasn't actually buying it, but after a week, he went back to me and he said, "You're right. That server is actually very robust. It's actually solid. It has JCache, and that is something that I didn't even knew it existed." And he was excited, and I was like, "Man, potential customer there." So,
but you shared the word even before you were a part of it.
Yeah, I was let's say potential evangelist for many of my customers over there in Colombia are actually considering Payara now. And many of my colleagues are actually working with Payara now, so it's good to spread the word.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so I don't know, maybe if we have any more interesting customer stories, we might actually write them all up as well and share them with you on blog or social media. So we might, obviously the more we're around, the more of these stories will be popping up. So we'll definitely save the most interesting ones for you. So going back to Andrew now, as a part of the development team, can you tell us a bit more? What are the development plans for Payara Micro this time?
Yep. So obviously all planning stage, so may or may not happen. But so kind of got 2 main pushes really. So the first is management of Payara Micro instances from the actual just full server DAS, so you'd be able to see them, and so they'd be separate from the current cluster and standalone. instances, or such as the plan, that they'd be separate. They'd have their own little section in the admin console, and you'd be able to see them and potentially run admin commands against them and things like that. The other push, either in addition to or kind of in place of this, because they're similar things, but it's a little bit in limbo, as it's all in the planning stage at the moment, is a deployable console for actually just Payara Micro. And through this, the plan is to be able to visualize the cluster members and their properties, see essentially the cluster topology, so how far the actual instances are from each other geographically, what the communication speed is between them, so their ping essentially, and the JCache stats and replication groups. And again, going back, we hope to be able to actually execute admin commands against the cluster and individual instances as well.
Okay, so we should look forward to it in the next, I guess, couple of months. That's a long term.
Yes, so we're still kind of deciding at the moment on what the next big feature push for either Payara Micro or Payara Server is at the moment. So that might be the next one. It depends on what the internal voting comes out, or if the community strongly pushes for something as well.
That's a good point, actually. Like, if you want something, tweet about it. Because we don't know otherwise.
Yeah, exactly. Just let us know, because we want to follow your suggestions as well, so it's not just us. Great, okay, so there's something to look forward to. So the next question is the question to everyone, really. Obviously, both Payara Micro and Payara Server have developed a lot of new useful tools and features. So what are the tools or features that you like the most or use the most yourselves in Payara Server or Payara Micro, and why is that?
Well, since I've actually been a JavaE developer most of my career, I've been tinkering with a lot of servers. And one of the things that I love more about GlassFish is it's extremely developer friendly. It helps you develop things fast and in a consistent way. So Payara went the extra mile, obviously, and one of my favorite features is its JCache integration, because it's not only awesome, it has JCache that is not only a powerful distributed cache grid, but it's also a good JCache implementation. And this was something that many of my colleagues there in Colombia discussed, that it was actually good because it saved many trips from the database and many projects that we were working on, and that's something that no other server had at that moment. Of course, many others then come along and try to implement their own things, and of course, since Java Enterprise Edition 8 is going to formalize JCache as one of the implementations, Payara is full ways ahead now in this moment. And another feature that I like as well is actually Payara Micro is something that no other server has. It's a way to actually do microservices in a more concise way. The output over jar function from Payara Micro that allows you to build a fat jar is actually pretty awesome, because with that you can actually allow to deploy all units faster, test them, and with Docker that it's something that you can also do in seconds. You don't need to take too much time with it.
Great, well, that's the whole point, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's good that it's working.
No, not only it works, but it works amazingly.
Great. Ondrej, what do you think?
Yeah, there are so many.
Pick one.
I'm a Java developer, so I would pick a developer-oriented thing. And similarly to Fabio, I also like Payara Micro and JCache integration. But in particular, what is specific to Payara Micro is CDI even bus, which I really like, because when I discovered CDI, I really loved the API, and I discovered the events API in there, and never seen such a good integration with other things as CDI events. But I was struck with the realization that nothing is asynchronous there, because if you fire an event, it seems to be asynchronous, but your code stops and the handlers of the event are running while your code is stopped. So this is what CDI event bus does. It runs events asynchronously, and not only that, but even on a different Payara Micro instances. So you can really distribute the load, not only on one JVM as is possible currently with Java EE, but with very simple API, you can distribute it at any instance.
All right. What about you, Mike?
So I'm not a Java developer, so I'm not going to pitch develop a feature. So my favorite feature is actually a feature that's been there right from the beginning, so we didn't add it. It's actually a fundamental feature, which is the REST management API. And the reason for that is that if, and the reason why REST has taken off as a really good way to do web services and interact with servers is it's based on open web technologies. So it's really, really easy to find tools and things that work with REST. Mm-hmm. So for instance, just literally a couple of days ago, we had a GitHub ticket asking how to do deployments with Maven.
Yeah.
So we don't have a particular Maven plugin yet. I don't think there's plans to do that at some point.
I think it's in the list. But...
Yes. Well, I mean, you don't actually need to wait for that dedicated plugin because there is the Maven cargo plugin, which allows you to execute effectively a curl command and deploy using the REST API. And that requires no setup at all. The REST API is always there because that's how, under the covers, the admin console and some admin commands actually do their job. They use this REST interface. Not many people know about it. I know Adam Bean's done a monitoring product which makes use of that. So
yeah, GlassFish, I think. Right?
Yes, GlassFish. Yeah. So he likes to tell people about that when he gets the chance. Yeah, it's a great feature. If you don't know about it, check it out. And there's even like an HTTP web interface as well, and you can check out every single command, all the options. I actually found out today how it's designed and how it's put together in the code, and it's actually really clever.
How about you, Andrew?
So I might be slightly biased because I wrote it, but my favourite feature is the as admin recorder that went in recently.
I knew you were going to say that.
Yes. Yeah, it's really handy just being able to essentially, once you've done it once, as long as you've got the recorder going, you can do it. It's just a script, you can just immediately do it again. And it's handy as well, just for being able to remember what you've done as well.
Yeah, you tend to forget like 50% of the comments every day.
There is actually, you've done a demo, didn't you? There should be a demo of the recorder on our blog. So if you haven't tried it yet or you're not sure how it works, just head up to our blog and find Andrew's demo on there.
I have to say, actually, until I kind of like peered at your notes from earlier, that was going to be my feature. I can't tell you the amount of times when I've been working with customers and I found out that they would make changes to their configuration just by clicking around in the admin console, and then they wouldn't save what they've done. So, you know, their production domain would get out of sync with their pre-production domain, and it's just awful for management, awful for testing. You know, if you're testing on a different configuration to production, well, you may as well not be testing. So it's a fantastic feature. All you need to do to use it is just click a button. It's the most easy thing in the world to use. It's brilliant.
Yeah, the demo is really short.
Yeah. If I may add something for all of you Docker enthusiasts, this will be extremely helpful because if you want to tinker with a specific Docker image based from Payara, you will need to know, you need to put the commands on your Docker file. Just use the admin recorder, take the output and paste it there, and there you have something workable in seconds.
Right.
What I in particular love about Payara, that as it is based on GlassFish. GlassFish is really good quality product.
Yeah.
But missing the final stuff. It has a good base, but I think it was quite easy, roughly easy to create this semi-recorded feature.
Yeah.
Because of how the GlassFish is set, the source code is written. And what Payara does, we try to pick all the good pieces and try to combine them in the way that they were just not finished in GlassFish.
Yeah, so the basis of GlassFish is crucial.
The basis is very good, but they just didn't invest the time to put together all the best things and combine the best pieces together. So we are trying to take advantage of it and just do the final step to bring the things.
So again, if you have any feedback or any suggestions for any future features or new tools, again, let us know. Tweet us, email us, raise an issue on GitHub. Just let us know, and the guys are all ready to to go ahead and develop new features that they can be proud of after that. Right, so the next question to Mike and Ondrej. I think last week you found out that you were accepted to speak at JavaOne, which is great, so congratulations. And it's going to be your first time at JavaOne. So the question really is, what are you looking most forward to? Because obviously it is the Java conference. And obviously tell us a bit more about your talks, what you're going to talk about, what your presentations are about. Ondrej, you want to start?
Yeah, obviously I'm very excited of going there to San Francisco. It will be my first time being there, not even speaking. And I'm very thankful to Mart Kaliskam because he will be a co-speaker in my talk. And he is a Java champion, and I will be very happy to have him by my side. I suppose it's part of one of the reasons why my talk was accepted, because I don't have so much experience in speaking, but I think it will be a good talk. The talk is about reactive features of Java EE and how to make them make your application or how to make your application reactive using these features, but also Java 8 features and other stuff, because Java EE was not meant to for reactive applications inherently, but it has enough features to support this programming model. And I've been interested into this programming model for some time already. So I try to prepare a talk which summarizes what is possible with Java EE already, and why people should not always consider a different platform if they want to build reactive applications.
Okay, how about you, Mike?
Yeah, so I was going to say my talk. It's not really my talk. It's Steve's talk that I'm going to be joining with. So yeah, Steve submitted it, and I'm a co-speaker with him. It's a tutorial titled Cloud Native Java EE. And the motivation for it is really to go into the nuts and bolts of, I guess, some of the things that are enabled by our use of Hazelcast as provider for clustering and session replication in Payara, specifically Payara Micro. So with traditional, I say traditional, I mean, going back quite a few years now to Java EE, you would have very, very large scale application servers which have very static cluster definitions, and you wouldn't expect to dynamically change that cluster definition on the fly. Mm-hmm. Whereas these days, that is exactly what everyone expects of a cluster. And that's what we can get with Hazelcast completely out of the box. And certain features that we've enabled in the recent release, 1.6.2 release, like Hazelcast Lite nodes, which is effectively a storage disabled node. It means that you wouldn't store any session data on that particular Payara Micro node. Enables you to manipulate the heap sizes and heap structure in such a way that will give you extra benefits in terms of garbage collection, and allow you to kind of elastically scale up and scale down based on load. Mm-hmm. So it's going to be a tutorial, so we're going to hopefully do a little demo, and show some interesting, cool things that haven't really been possible with Java EE before. I think that's about it. It's going to be brand new for this talk, so a little bit scant on details, but
yeah. I think we're going to find out quite a lot about Java EE future at the actual conference as well.
Yes, that's one of the things that I'm looking forward to. So obviously Oracle have announced that recently that they've confirmed that they're committed to Java EE. So we haven't heard from Oracle for a very long time, but they have publicly and officially said that they are committed to Java EE. I think in the announcement they made on the register, they did confirm that they are speaking with partners as well, mm-hmm. Which is good. It's all very positive. And they said that they are going to make an announcement at JavaOne, which is going to be very interesting to hear, which is one of the things that I'm really looking forward to. That and finding out some of the extra features that are going to come in future releases of Java SE, the language itself. I know Mark Reinhold and Brian Getz, some of the other Java language designers are going to be there doing their kind of very typical talks and Q&A sessions and things. Are always very interesting to go and listen to.
Yeah, it should be a lot.
Last but not least, recently we've been very collaborating with other vendors with this MicroProfile initiative, and finally we will get a chance to meet there in person there, and hopefully by that time there will be also 1.0 version of MicroProfile, so that we can discuss further what will come later.
That's a good point, actually. I do know that quite a few people from different vendors are going to be there at JavaOne, so there'll likely be some sort of informal discussion and chats going on about the MicroProfile. Obviously, we'll have version 1 from all of the vendors by then. I know that Wildfly Swarm was first to the party. They've released their MicroProfile fraction. I think it's quite easy for them to do that there. I mean, the way Wildfly Swarm is built lends itself to this kind of design very easily. But yeah, if you want to go and check out the MicroProfile, there's already one out there. Yeah. I know that if you are monitoring the Google group, you will have seen that Antonio Goncalves has recently put together a GitHub repository of a sample application which uses just the MicroProfile. So there's even a sample application to go and deploy to it.
Yeah. So I think there will be lots more happening just before JavaOne as well. Some more announcements, and maybe not even informal meetings. Maybe there will be something more organized. That's what we could expect probably. And if not, we can initiate something because we're going to be there.
Sure.
Great. Right. So it looks like we run out of questions. Right. So, but before we finish, as we mentioned a couple of times before. Sorry, there's probably some noise coming out of the window. I'll pause for a second. Okay, motorcycle gone. Right, so before we finish, as we mentioned a couple of times before, if you have any feedback, if you have any comments, any ideas for the features in Payara Server, Payara Micro, or any ideas for the events like this, because we do want to run those Q&A sessions a bit more often, just let us know. You can find us on Twitter, you can find us on Facebook, you can email us, just post a comment, go to GitHub. There are many ways you can do that, whichever you prefer. You can find our team members on Twitter as well.
Yeah, me too.
So here's Mike. You should see his profile, of course. Must be up to date.
It's a hilarious joke. Leave it up there. I want people to see it. It's fun.
This goes back to the most recent news, Olympics and stuff. There's Ondrej as well. So you can follow them, follow us, message or tweet to us. There's me as well, if you want to follow or message us. I know Andrew's got a profile, but he's not really using it that much.
Two tweets.
Yeah, well done.
2 tweets.
Yeah, so let's make sure that Andrew is using his profile a bit more. Just tweet to him. Just ask him many questions. And obviously, Payara itself. If you don't follow it yet, follow it because you can. Everything that's on there is up to date. So all the blog posts, articles, both ours and from any other interesting sources, you can find them on our Twitter. And also, you will have a chance to talk to us at the conferences this year. So we are attending JavaOne, as we mentioned, and we also attending the JAX conference in Germany in November, JavaOne in September, so that's coming sooner. And talking about JavaOne conference, if you don't have a ticket yet, or you don't have it for whatever reason and you won't have it, there might be a chance for you to get one. So make sure you keep an eye on our blog pages, on our blog, and we might have something interesting for you coming up in the next couple of days. So make sure you keep an eye on it. So thanks again to you guys, and I think we had fun. And if you do have more questions, again, post them to us. And I think that's it for now. So thanks again for watching, and
Bye.
see you next time. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.